What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane on location, somewhere not home. You know what we do here. Thank you for tuning into the show. Let's talk about the Dolphins. The joint practice did not go well. I'll just say that flatly and then we'll elaborate on it. One of the things we'll get into the actual play of the team on our next segment, but one of the things that happened was the Bears clearly showed up with, I would say, an agenda, but that sounds a little bit heavy. But yeah, kind of. It seems, by all indications, the Bears showed up and said, we're going to try to punk the Dolphins. That's the best way I can describe it on these airways without getting canceled. They said, we're going to show up and see what these guys have. Now, if you watched the episode yesterday, I said one of the big keys that I was looking for physicality on the O line, D line, trench work. We'll see what kind of, makeup we've been talking about being tougher all off season. Hey, we got to toughen up, toughen up. Everybody says we're cheap and we're soft. And I said, okay, cool. The Bears, I think, are a tough team, at least by design. And they have players who I think live up to that billing. Evidently, in this practice, the Bears were kind of going above the line, like cheap shots, late hits. Um, One player got clotheslined, and I don't know if they were trying to do the punk test. And the punk test, like, if you're not like familiar with it personally, it's like you're even playing a game of like pickup basketball, and then somebody like fouls you, and then you just like you don't say anything, and then next time they foul you a little bit harder, then they foul you harder, and then like the fourth foul, you're like, hey, come on, man, you've been fouling me, but they've already fouled you three times up to that point, so now like you're fouling me again, I'm gonna fight you. Energy doesn't seem to line up because you let me foul you multiple times, obviously illegally. If the whistle blows in football and I do a little shove to the ground and you just get up like that was kind of late. Then you do another play and I grab you and I pick you up and slam you down. Okay, man, that was kind of late. And then the third time I clothesline you, you can't be like, hey, yo, dog, what's up with the cheap shots? It's like, wait a minute, I've already done two cheap shots to you. The first time I shoved you to the ground is when you get back up and shove right back and say, hey, we're not doing that. The minute you pick me up and slam me, we're already fighting. We're not getting to the third offense where now we're trying to figure out how much can you push me before I push you back. That's where the Dolphins went wrong. It seems like they were aware the Bears were doing it. The Bears were clearly doing it, and the Dolphins just kind of let it rock. I don't know. So Omar Kelly was there, and he reported on it, and he had some very scathing things to say about how the Dolphins approached it. He said, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna cry about it and say, hey, you're hitting me too hard. Like, what do you do?" But it was dirty. It was without a doubt. Tua was hit multiple times, put in the ground multiple times in practice. What are you going to do when you know your team's reputation? You know the world, the league perceives you as soft, and here you go. Now, he said a lot more than that. I mean, it was really about, that this is disappointing to watch as a team. I think a lot of this culture stuff has been, talk is cheap, and like it really like elaborate on the fact that all off season, I reported it a bunch of times. Players have a bunch of times. Coach McDaniel has. Hey, new season. Hey, new mentality. We drafted Kenneth Grant. We got Big Jonah. Hey, we went and got James Daniels. We're getting the trenches right. Big guys. Zach just got an extension. We're all about big. We're physical. We're tough now. Tua's talking tough. Hey, Tyreek, you can't just do what you want, bro. Like we're not doing that anymore. Everyone's saying the same thing. And in the first real test of are we what we say we are, obvious fail. Just blatantly, just what it is. I would have preferred the exact opposite. If we just went out there on some bounty gate, because Caleb Williams like is not gonna play on Sunday in our first game, but he was in practice. I'm not saying take out Caleb, but maybe a little little chicken wing, let him know I'm here. Like maybe a couple hits to DJ Moore, who seems like he could have crash out tendencies. Like just a little sign. I would prefer them to be over the top in there. We're physical to the point that it's actually kind of illegal. Then the exact opposite, where we talk about being physical and then basically get pushed around the whole practice. Don't love this as a optic. Don't love it as now being reported. Oh, Dolphins soft. Coach McDaniel has to jump in and break up scuffle. Nothing about that sounds like what we want to talk about. And I mentioned to you guys, joint practices always lead to fights, and immediately vindicated by a fight in practice. Just saying, when I write them right, uh, I just found this story a little concerning. That's it. I don't love what that is. So hopefully, next joint practices, the game on Sunday, we can get our swag back a little bit, come out physical. I'm fine starting a game with like 6 straight runs. If it's 3 runs in a punt, so be it. Punt the ball, play defense, get the ball back, 3 more runs again. Because at some point, you do have to establish physicality. You coming out throwing a ball to Waddle, spreading it out to our other receivers, that's not physical to me. If you just got punked in practice, you don't think anything on Sunday, oh, these boys are going to fold. They'll fold. You push them enough, they'll fold. That's how they feel. So you come out and say, we won't. Up the middle. Bang, bang, bang. And at some point, Tua will play action. And we'll go from there. But even if that's not the best aesthetically visual, like beautiful thing to watch is let's just run the ball over and over again. You got to establish it at some point. Hopefully we lock in. I don't like that. Now I mentioned it wasn't a great practice overall. The physicality and being pushed around was one thing. In addition to that, very sloppy practice. Tua threw 3 picks, which is just what are we doing? And Alexander Madison, who I bigged up recently after trashing initially, got to be consistent here. I said he won't make the roster. I don't know why he got signed. Ollie Gordon, yada, yada, yada. And then he was hearing, yo, man, Madison looks pretty good. Physical and all that. And I had to give him credit. Joint practice, 2 fumbles. As a running back, there are a couple things you just cannot do. You cannot be bad in blitz pickup, and you cannot fumble. Whether you run for 8 yards a carry or 3, 4 yards a carry, that determines your playing time. If you're a 3 yard per carry person, you may just be a short yardage back. If you're a 5, 6, 7 yard a carry person, congratulations, you're a home run guy. Cool. What you can't be is, hey, when that blitzer comes in, pick him up, and you whiff on that enough times, you will not be on the field. Go sit down and look at the little Surface Pro because you're not doing your job. But what you can for sure not be is a fumble guy. You can't do it. Raheem Mostert fumbled last year, off the field, eventually off the team. We remember all the way back to a Tiki Barber type person. He had to literally change the way he held the ball because he just kept fumbling. It's a thing. Once you fumble that first time and people realize they can kind of knock it out, it starts getting up here. You see running backs, they start running, they do this thing, they hold it real tight, and then they still fumble, and you see them on the sideline, like doing sideline fumble ball handling drills. It's not good. And once you, because you're turning the ball over, you're not only are you not doing your job well, you're giving the other team a possession. Alexander talked about it, like, hey, I'm gonna get it right. You know, maybe I didn't have my hand right. I didn't cradle the ball properly. Hey, that's all fine and good. I fully expect you're going to see more Ollie Gordon on Sunday than you probably were going to initially. I think you'll see a lot more Jalen Wright than you probably were going to see initially. I think they're going to be HN, get a few carries in, and then we're doing running back by committee, drive by drive by drive. I think that workload probably won't be split up as evenly because there has to be a consequence to fumbling the ball. Can't go out and fumble twice, maybe create 2 turnovers against our team, and then say, oh, it's cool, just go get some more carries. Like, nah. You need to get them carries taken away, demoted on the depth chart. You've been great up to this point. This is an unacceptable thing as a running back. This is like a wide receiver who not only drops passes, but like tips the ball in the air when he drops. Because if you drop the ball where it hits your chest and falls down, you dropped it. That's not good. But Quentin Johnson is still in the league, and he does not catch the ball, right? You can drop the ball and still get on the field. If you're the person that the ball is always bouncing up and it's leading to safety picks and other cornerback picks, and it's like, oh, man, my hands, they just got so much off the field. The Tua picks I'm not happy about. I imagine they were either bad reads or he was throwing to receivers that, well, Tyreek wasn't there. So he's probably throwing to third, fourth receivers, and maybe there's not good confidence there. I assume Waddle was being bracketed or covered well. Still don't want to see picks from my quarterback, but Tua's job is not on the line. Alexander, for sure on the line. We can get rid of like that. He could be cut by Monday. Like if Jalen and Ali ball out, Sunday night, I can see Monday morning. Hey, yo, Alex, silver big dog. So I'm not wishing that on anybody. I don't have any personal vendetta. I just know can't fumble the ball, can't do it. You mentioned earlier that Tyreek missed practice on Wednesday with an undisclosed injury, and I was like, "What is the injury? Is it lower leg? Is it, what is it?" Found out it was an oblique injury, which is tough for a receiver because when you extend for the ball, you have to extend obviously through you know, through your core and your trunk. There's turning and rotating your body. There's a lot of ways your obliques can actually affect the way you play. But he was at practice today. Now he did walkthroughs. He didn't have the pads on, which means he wasn't actually being hit. And he's going at quarter speed, if not walkthrough speed. But still, good enough that he can be there. And that's actually, I think, good teammate optical things, right? Because you could be like, oh, I'm just not going to travel with the team. I'm hurt, staying in Miami, doing my own like workouts and recovery on the side. The fact that you're there going through practice, I think it's a good sign. That means that if really called up on to play, I think he could play. I don't see any scenario where he would play. He didn't wear pads in the last practice, but not as bad as knee, ankle, hip, which was my initial concern. Like, oh my god, does he have a lower leg injury after having a lower leg injury? Like that just made me feel some way, or a wrist, which we already know what's going on there. Oblique, that could be a lot of things. A little micro tear here, a little strain here. I don't think this is actually the biggest concern in the world, and you can wear little padded jackets to kind of protect that area, like around the ribs and like oblique area. So you can get extra padding around that area if he feels he needs it. It may cut down his you know, speed to some degree and definitely like dexterity, but he would be more safe for impact. So I'm not super concerned with this. I do think him not being able to be out there affected the way the team played, especially like offensively, because he changes the dynamics. Also, this is kind of a this. I don't know if I'll say it. If you say Tua, Jalen, Devon, probably Nick, and let's say Malik, of those people, and someone tries to push you around, who do you think in that group is likely to be like, all right, I'm fighting? Because when I mentioned him, I was like, I don't think maybe Jalen, but those guys don't seem like they're here to scrap. If someone cheap shot at Tyreek, I can almost guarantee Tyreek scrapping because Tyreek has whatever gene it is that makes him a genius football player, also makes him a reckless real life person. I think is the gene that I'm not going to get pushed around by you on the field. I think Tyreek is competitive enough. Maybe that's a better word. He's competitive enough that if he gets cheap tackled, I can see him grabbing a face mask and it just being on. And maybe him not being out there with the team contributed to the level of punkness, right? Because who in our secondary is here to fight? Minka is on his best behavior. He wants to get more money. Totally get it. Everyone else is 1 year contracts, older people. Some of them are castaways. Who's scrapping? Jalen Ramsey was scrapped. Yeah, he's not there anymore. Javon Holland, I don't know. I don't know if he would scrap for real. But, you know, who's out there getting dirty? I don't I just realized that Tariq not being there could have contributed to it. Because even if he saw Tua get knocked down, he may just run over just to defend Tua. Like, hey man, get off my quarterback. Like, what are we doing? We not quarterbacks are protected during these practices. How you throwing them down multiple times? I don't know. I just got mad all over again. I just got frustrated all over again. Like, you mean they kept hitting the quarterback and y'all didn't immediately like get into a brawl? This is like baseball. If you plunk Otani, we scrapping. You hit Mookie, we fighting. I don't. What is this? Not a hey, don't do it again. No, we're fighting. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm not in a field. I gotta stop getting mad. Back to the comments. So we saw a number of rookies have played at quarterback, and we have one on our team. Quinn Ewers has been doing very well so far. As of now, Zach Wilson's still the backup. But one of the questions I got was outside of the Dolphins, because I know this is a Dolphins podcast, but who, what theme or what's impressed you so far in the preseason? Because obviously we haven't played our game yet, so we can't really do a deep dive into our game. But we've seen a bunch of games so far. I will say my idea of going into this draft was that the quarterbacks in this draft weren't as bad as people thought they were. I think we have deified the 2026 quarterback class already. which is just ridiculous. I don't, not that these guys won't be good, but we've already said this might be 1983 all over again. That's crazy to me. I will say Jalen Milrow surprised me a lot in the action I saw him in. He looked like a crisper version of Alabama Jalen. I saw a little bit more accuracy, athleticism off the charts. We already saw that already. He looked composed. He looked. I don't believe he will start the year, but it seems like he's clearly being groomed to be the quarterback. Even though I just gave Sam Darnold money, it seems like, hey, we're trying to make him the quarterback because you can see that he's been massaged, right? Jackson Dart today, he looked good to me. Like good in the pocket, a couple of errant throws, whatever. A lot of good throws. The mobility looks solid. Not as much as Daniel Jones, but slippery enough to like get around. I also don't think he's going to be starting anytime soon, but he didn't look incompetent. I think Shador probably surprised me not the most. You guys know I'm a Shador like fan here. I thought the Dolphins should have drafted him. I would say of the three, he's gotten the least amount of practice work, and I thought was put in the worst position. Seattle's offense to me was pretty set up well. The Giants, I thought he had a really good game plan, and Dayball is obviously really good at what he does. I think the Browns were not in the best position to succeed in that game, and he did a lot with a little. We'll see in game two once he gets a lot more practice in, like how good he plays. I'm very curious, but I think if this quarterback class is better than people thought they were, how does that affect next year? Because the prevailing wisdom has been draft these guys this year, and we haven't seen. I haven't seen Tyler Shuck yet. I'm not sure if the New Orleans has even played yet. I haven't seen them. If they have played, then that's on me. I just haven't seen it. But the idea was let's draft these guys this year, give them a shot. If they are not good, we'll just get a new guy next year. What happens if these players are actually good? That was my prevailing thought. Like if the Giants go 9-8, and let's say Dart plays 7 games, he goes 4-3. Do you just say, nah, let's go get K Copeland? Did you just drop him and go get Nussmeyer? You just get Sellers? You just leave him? Again, I do not believe Arch is going pro next year. I've been saying it. I don't care what all this stuff about coaches being fired to get Arch. I do not think he's going pro, flatly. If the Browns are average and Shador is good, if Seattle was borderline contending for a playoff and maybe Sam Darnold becomes a pumpkin again, do they now have a quarterback? So now that's 3 teams that could be maybe in the market for a QB. Or like we're pretty set actually. How does that change the next year, 1983 all over again draft, which we've already adorned everybody to be John Elway? I'm curious, but I'm also curious how Quinn Ewers is going to do because right now Zach Wilson is the backup, and in practice they are doing well. All reports are, hey, both are impressing us. Everybody's happy. What happens is Quinn Ewers starts really like separating himself, and now, you know, could the Dolphins have another quarterback in waiting? We know Tua's contract in 2 years could be voided. Like I'm like started thinking about all this future stuff because every team that is a Super Bowl contender has a quarterback that you believe in. So if you don't have a quarterback, you're not a Super Bowl contender. Even teams on the outside, like the Texans and maybe the Commanders that aren't like top 4 or 5 candidates to be champions, feel like we have a quarterback to win. They do at this point. So that's what I've been struck with in the preseason. Like I think the defenses have been not particularly good. I'm just a little bit surprised how many starting quarterbacks have played. Kyler Murray looked, I don't know what was going on there. I thought Bryce Young looked good. Y'all know I thought Bryce Young is a good player. I'll say that. Joe Burrow came in, obviously lit it up. Um, there are more starters playing than I thought they would. Cam Ward looked good today, in the part that I saw, which is not surprising. He has Calvin Ridley. He's been practicing a lot. So I think there are going to be less bad teams next year. Does that make sense? Like there were a couple teams last year that were just dumpster fires. Y'all know I am adamantly against the Saints. Just categorically, just don't believe in that team at all. I don't know if I feel that way about any other team but the Saints. I think the Saints are the worst team in the league. Period. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams in that 5 to 6 win range. I think there might be one, maybe 2 teams 3 wins or below. I think everyone else 3 weeks out from the year will be like, there's that 10% chance we can get in the, not 10%, 5% chance we can get in the playoffs. I think there'll be a lot of teams that, hey, I know we're 7-9 or 7-8, and if we win out, we can get in. I think there's going to be a lot of teams in that bubble. There's that the mediocre bubble of the league. I think is like a lot. I think there's probably 15 teams that can win between 7 and 9 games. And then of course the cream is going to rise. I imagine Philly's going to be great. I think you know somebody in the north. So whoever one of those teams is, Minnesota might emerge. Whoever it is, obviously I think the Chiefs are going to be good. Buffalo usually is good, right? But I think teams that were normally great, like San Francisco, is going to be a 7-8 win team. I think Seattle and San Francisco are going to be in the same boat. Arizona is going to be in the same boat. I think the Jets can be a 7-8 win team. Justin Fields, I thought looked solid in the parts I saw today. Like there's a lot of teams in that bubble, which I think is good for the Dolphins because that's going to keep us in contention. I don't think we're chasing those 12, 13 win teams. We're trying to beat out the teams that are right in our same bubble. I don't know. I'm rambling now. I just because all this is like stream of consciousness, and I'm just like, there are a lot of teams that I'm like, I can see the Raiders being an 8 win team easily. Broncos, same. Cowboys, same. Like I'm just like, how many teams can be in that Carolina? I think there's a lot of teams in that middle ground where it's like, are they playoff teams or are they just OLIs, outside looking in people? I don't know. The preseason is going to tell a lot, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds. And of course, I'll talk about the Dolphins tomorrow, so we can get into how we actually perform. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. I got a little rambly at the end because my brain got into football mode. It just got way bigger than what the show is, but that's fine. I assume that's kind of why you're here. We appreciate the likes and subscribes. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.